Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. It's 9/11. Obviously, our American brethren is wrapped up in those ceremonies and various different memorials. So let's just make sure YouTube's doing its thing. It is good. So I think it's kind of understandable. Today's a bit of a muted day in the market. Did see a little bit of firmness come in through the open, but that quickly evaporated, and seeing a lot of just sort of treading water to slightly lower on the day. Our breadth indicator here, probably a really great sort of tool to keep you honest. We actually, through the daily brief today, we did a fun sort of analysis, a comparison of something like the advanced decline line on the New York Stock Exchange and how the readings are giving us similar signals here. Bottom line here is, yes, the market on the, actually it's not quite on the medium term, but on the short term, yes, we are oversold. We tried to W out here, but notice more weakness coming in and actually failing through this most recent low. So no buy signal here in the market. We had smatterings of bottoms trying to come in, but I even noticed some of those names are starting to get weak again too. So this September, October could be kind of nasty here. Be prepared. And interesting enough, from our sort of cycle perspective, I don't know whether I have it on this chart or not, but no, I guess I got rid of it. But our thinking about celestial events, had a big one that came in there the end of June, beginning of July, and that actually translated into a buy signal. Had one that came in, I think it was April 6th or so. Yeah, right there. That generated a buy signal. So I'm feeling as though our next big one is early November. I think it's like November 13th. So believe it or not, I'm actually thinking that we have to, do we repeat this? Maybe. I'll tell you, in Eastern Europe, they're actually saying that phase 2 of the coronavirus is kicking in, and a whole bunch of countries in Eastern Europe are starting to come down with whole new waves of coronavirus sickness. So, we have this insane political event coming up here. The disdain politically in the United States for wearing masks and doing what the scientists want you to do. I got a sneaky suspicion this is going to be a pretty challenging couple months ahead of us here. Also, too, there's an old adage, how September, October go, heading into the actual election event in November. Usually is a proxy on the incumbent. If it is an incumbent election. If there's no incumbent, then all hell can break loose, like in the days of George Bush Jr., when Cheney, there was no way in hell Cheney was ever going to get elected president. So literally the whole fucking crew, every Republican just abandoned Washington all en masse. And of course, 2008 financial asset crisis, blah, blah, blah. You saw what happened there. So really the question I would have right now is, what's the sort of market's confidence in somebody like Mr. Trump getting reelected? And, his window to close this margin is still a pretty damn big margin. His window is fast evaporating. He's got about a month, maybe a little bit about less, maybe about a month and a half. And that's still a huge margin. So Mr. Trump's got an uphill battle. There's no doubt about it. Popular vote wise, you can see that Mr. Trump is coming back. But is this just a little bit too little, too late? I don't know. And as I said there a moment ago, if the market actually believes it's got to get ready for a new executive, a new leadership model in the United States, the old leadership model isn't going to survive, then I can absolutely tell you people that have sort of political sway with the current administration knowing that, oh geez, the odds of us be having this same political sway a couple months from now, probably not so good. They start to abandon ship. So we might see more, on top of COVID, on top of now econs really can't improve a hell of a lot more. And we're starting to get some econs coming around from different parts of the world, like Japan recently came out with just an absolute disaster econ, like GDP down 24%. I mean, just insane numbers. So you're not going to get a hell of a lot of help from the econs here. And actually, interestingly enough, our conversation, I was a bit surprised somebody was critical of me in the comments about the YouTube videos here, trying to walk through how I would try and build shorts on the crude oil market. And yeah, we got stopped out a few times along the way here. Regardless of whether you actually have any respect for anything that I do here, please consider this infotainment, edutainment, right? We're just here having fun. And this was a paper trade example, so it certainly wasn't real dollars. Ironically enough, though, the most recent crude short, remember our most recent example, was we were going to go short off of this double top breakdown, boom, 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 right there. We've been walking through this for a while. And our commentary, oh geez, not this nonsense again. Our commentary here was, look at this mess. Like, what the hell? Our commentary here was not a bad profit objective if we just shoot for things like 50% rules. I'm not quite sure where the top is. I'll just sort of manually do this. Yeah. Oh, that's close. So on this most recent foray into the market, and actually probably the best way to see this, and this is actually what surprised me when I did see this, was actually this short trade now is actually pretty cliche, which is so ironic, right? I mean, I won't go through the whole spiel. We walked through this quite a bit in the daily brief here today. But ironically enough, this trade, actually this most recent one, right? Remember we tried to short that double top and we're stopped out. Tried to short, I think, this top. But interesting, look how this actually all it was this futures contract filled in this very big hole. Gaps like to be filled at the 200 period moving average. I'm curious about this profile. Something looks very suspicious about this. They might just ratchet it down and then crank it right back up to fill this in. I don't know. But, we actually have an OBV div. Huge signal. Very, very bearish signal when you get OBV divs. Willie was stupidly overbought. So that's our classic sort of, is the market overbought? Market was in massive RSI divergence and even failed. A beautiful failure on a divergence right through here. MACD was in divergence through here. So ironically enough, this short is actually pretty damn cliche. And I think for our purposes, the conversation of late was just simply wanted to sell that double top, and we're going to gun for a 50% retracement of this range. Remember when we were using those spot markets, it was kind of like, what the hell's the damn 50% level? What level do you use? I think this is probably exactly what's going on here. So I think for our purposes, we'll ring the register at 34.77 on this December. And just sort of add up what was the sort of end result. 1 short failed, 2 short failed, 3 short failed. If this one works, 4 short, it worked. What is the end result? Could somebody, ironically enough, and this is the kick in the pants, is that as oil was tanking down and going like negative in the spot market, this is actually, I think, the market that, if you wanted to take a long shot, this is looking out into December 2020. Remember, market fell apart there in May, so you're buying a futures contract out like, 7-8 months down the road. And ironically enough, actually, I think that this trade on the long side was actually stunningly cliche. Because you can see down, up, down, breakout. You know, if you just bought that W and risked against the lows and said, look at, I'm going to do a 50% retracement heading back up. We'll even maybe use that high there. Gee whiz, that was that trade right there. So, and wow, what a surprise. 2.0 risk reward ratio. Try to make sure to only on setups that actually pay you for your time and effort, at least a 2-to-1. So in a weird sort of way, our original short shots here, we should have actually been going, well, what is the trade that's going on? This is a classic commodities trade. I think I've told you guys this before. This was one of the very first technical tools I ever learned. What is a 50% rule of the most recent range? And why would you be interested in hunting W's down in here? Well, it turns out that we have a whole bunch of bullish divergences as the market's making new lows. Remember, the spot market went to like minus $30, right? Just insanity. So, look at this beautiful little W there on the RSI breakout right in there. That's all through that. And the MACD turning up, that's through that. Hell, you could have let that breakout happen, just worked your order and gotten filled over all of those days in there. So you can't say that there wasn't a trade there. So how ironic. Phil hit the 50% rule. These guys actually get out. I'm still very curious about this profile. Something bothers me immensely about that. But I think after the 50% level's done and those guys are finished their trade, then, oh, gee whiz, look at all this divergence, Willie Stupid, 200 SMA, and there's your failure. So, obviously hindsight's always 20/20, that kind of talk. So it's just, this has been a really interesting experience, sort of talking you through this. And I think actually that's actually pretty realistic. But like we said, for the record, we'll sort of keep track. How many short attempts did we try and do? And finally, did we actually catch a top that actually where the market did go to the 50% rule, and what's the net end result? We might find that it's a zero-sum game. But I couldn't believe when I pulled this December contract up this morning and I actually analyzed this and really studied it, and I was quite surprised how cliche this actually is. Oh, well, crazy world. So we'll keep an eye on this. Let's see how it does. And it really, I guess, this number here is 35. I think, somewhere around there, that December hits 37, something like that. I don't, obviously it doesn't make sense using minus numbers, but, even maybe just off the spot market using that low, maybe we find these near-term markets really dump into these kind of technical, those holes right there on the chart. $27, that might be a bit aggressive, but, for this particular trade, like I said, I think what we'll do is we'll use this 50% level as our profit objective. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Remember, this is an infotainment, edutainment. Consider it half fun. And I'm certainly not here to teach you how to trade and teach you setups on these free videos. This is just sort of more just like infotainment. That's probably the best way to describe this. Okay, so back to our sort of regular conversations here. What's the US dollar index doing? Still a little bit of an update. Follow through following that big FU day yesterday that they pulled in the international markets. 9/11 day, so a little bit quieter, somber day. Interesting to see stocks right back down against their lows from a couple days ago. As we said, interestingly enough, on this crude oil, we had sort of these bull-bear battle lines that were drawn. Really good example. If we had carved out, gone through this high, then that would have been a buy signal. And expect higher prices. These gaps probably filled in. For the purposes of our demonstration here, we said that we decided to hit this double top. Don't let a winning trade turn into a losing trade. So right now we just have our stop at scratch on this particular one. But so bull bear, back to bull bear battle lines. If we had gone up through this high inside bar, bullish signal buy. If yesterday's bar is an inside bar, so if we go through that low, that's an inside bar sell signal. And you can see we went through that low here this morning. So, think risk off. What's the US dollar itself doing? It's actually up on the day right now. So actually that kind of corresponds. And then, as we said there a moment ago, stocks, they're not really overly happy. So that corresponds. You can see the bonds are trying desperately to resolve this little trading range that we've seen. And of course our gold. If the oil does fall apart in earnest, stock fall apart in earnest, we might see the gold market catch a bit of a bid. And now you can see we actually have these bullish bot setups now actually defined pretty darn well. One low, two lows, three lows, fractal, double bottom will be a breakout through the 25 level. I mean, it's there. Traders got to trade, so that setup's just sort of sitting there going, well, if you trade bullish bots, better pay attention. I guess continuing that risk on, risk off kind of day. Risk off, catching a bit of a bid over here. If anything, gold's a little bit schizophrenic right now. It's not necessarily catching a bid in risk off, but it's also not getting its ass kicked like risk on. Does gold, gold's in a really interesting phase here. It's almost like it's going to go up regardless into this Jupiter-Saturn pivot. Big political event, lots of unknowns. The market that actually I'm most worried about is the silver market because it's moved so far, so fast. And even the gold-silver ratio has just gone absolutely haywire here. So you could see some pretty big fireworks in that silver market. Be careful here. This has gone one directional in silver's favor. We've come back down against key support. Don't be surprised if you actually see some outperformance of gold. Sort of thinking, industrial metal is silver. So, like I said there a moment ago, if econs are coming out a little bit weaker, that's sort of lack of industrial demand. And that might be a bit tough on silver. So be careful there on the silver, folks. Risk on, risk off, continuing that talk. We see that our Russell 2000 versus the Dow, people wanting to take risk in venture capital stocks. It's not catching a bid here today. And that recent potential W that we were thinking might come in, never did come in. So that sort of reaffirms sort of risk off kind of thinking. Heading on over to the corn. I had been sort of talking with the community that really we're kind of in no man's land right now. I don't really have a long setup. I don't have a short setup. I still think that this 200% of this head and shoulders level has to be traded to, and it hasn't. And also, too, I wonder out loud, chaos theory, all that kind of craziness. This theoretically Foggenbaum should be traded to down here. 50% rule, remember, keep ourselves honest. If crude has to come back down, risk on assets. Stocks have to come back down. I don't see any reason why crypto can't. I think the battle going on in Bitcoin right now, of course, is this 1-to-2 Gann line. And 1-to-1, which would be natural, healthy, normal, 50% retracement and 50% of the time of the rally, would bring us back to that 1-to-1, fill in the noticeable hole in the profile, satisfy Foggenbaum, all that kind of fun stuff. I like that in here. And then again, thinking that mid-November celestial pivot, and the last couple times we saw that, we actually get buy signals set up heading out of that. I don't know whether we follow this path, whether maybe it looks like that, or maybe it looks like that. I don't know. But I do like the idea that, and you can kind of see it's a big fractal that's forming here. I don't know whether we have to come all the way back down here. That would be like the crude coming back down in the 20s and stuff like that. Or whether we just find support. Remember that July 1st pivot was right in here. And this is post the Fed diluting the shit out of the currency. So if this currency was the same, that bottom would be about, what is that number? 4,200. So think 4,200, which it actually would make sense, right? So that bottom came in basically right at the bottom lows here, right? Remember, they went and basically cut the purchasing power of the US dollar in half right here. So ironically, this number and this number are exactly the same. Welcome to this fucked up brrr. How does it go? Brrr, Fed fucking the US dollar supply. You're not supposed to fuck with the supply of currency in the marketplace. That's like sacrilegious. They're fucking with the currency supply. This will not end well. How it ends? My hunch is it ends in a massive bout of hyperinflation. It's just the question is, can they kick the can down the road a couple more times, which I think they've gotten away with. But at some point down the road, this US dollar, we all know this, Bitcoin, $100,000, $200,000, $1 million Bitcoin. It will happen because eventually the wheels fall off of the bus. You can only fuck with your currency for so long until they go enough is enough and we have to move on to something else. I don't know what the hell that's going to look like. Over the short term, though, as we're working our way through this crazy 2020 COVID risk world, right? My hunch is, like I had said earlier, probably a little too late to actually do anything on the sell side, whether it be buy puts or actually sell your Bitcoins. And it's probably a little bit too early to get too excited on the buy side. If I'm thinking trend continuation down, actually I do want to see a little bit more firmness. I got to see at least a 33% retracement to start setting up those lower highs and lower lows. If we just puke out here, then I'm just sitting here doing nothing, just sitting on my short proxies that I have on the books right now and just twiddling my thumbs. There are some interesting names out there in altcoin land. Of course, DeFi craziness is going on. So if you happen to ride the latest DeFi insanity, you might be able to bang out a 10x if you happen to catch the monkey's tail. No guarantees from the management on all that. It's totally just, you're swinging the bat. So I don't know what the hell this goddamn bot is, but I guess you're feeling pretty good. You're up another 24-hour volume, $7,000. Oh, gee whiz. That was a nice friendly market cap of $30 billion. Oh, that makes sense. This is nuts. And here it is, $751 a coin. Up what is that? It's 28 cents to $700? Okay. I don't know. This is nuts. Obviously, there's no technical justification, W's, that kind of stuff. How do you figure out value on this stuff? Good luck. But, what the hell? Step up to the bat, swing the bat. If you happen to catch one of these things, you might be buying Lambos tomorrow. It's not really my style. But you never know. Hop on the Twitter channels, crypto Twitter. Hop on the Reddit, and if you're really lucky, you might get a hot tip, and you're rich tomorrow. Woohoo! There are a bunch of little ones that I'm I'm super jazzed about this ONT. I got a big whack of it over there on Binance. I don't think I have any of the NEO. I got the ZRX and the CEL, of course. So, there are some up names. I think there are some really cool little value names that I'm shopping, but they're boring, right? Nobody's interested in value. So, names like this Geode right down at the bottom end of its range. I love this kind of stuff. Look at the damn thing's gapping higher this morning. So this is the kind of name that, oh my goodness, I love that kind of action. And then also too, the Decred came right down, put in just the most prettiest little bottom. I don't think I have Decred on this screen. But went and picked up a whack of that. Just great looking little name. DCR. But these aren't super sexies. They're actually kind of boring. But coming back down into those reload zones, I love that kind of action. So I went and bought a bit more of that. So, I'm interested. Of course, I own a whack of crypto. So if it keeps rallying and hitting double levels, I'll be more than happy to sell some more at doubles. We do have a great community here at TRI. And so, people like in the community put together like DeFi lists. Wouldn't be a bad idea to go through this kind of list and just create a matrix of charts. And I might do that and tweet it out and stuff. Just to keep an eye on names. And, bullish bots are bullish bots are bullish bots. If they come in, I'll be more than happy to take it. So that's sort of my mental mindset here with crypto. I'm a little bit leery. I mean, there's nothing for me to do on the corn here. And Ethereum, Litecoin, same sort of thing. They're just sort of, drifting in no man's land right now. But if you happen to catch a good name, good fundamental driver, you've got a sexy story, couple that with a half-decent W, nice W's in momentum, half-decent location, hey, reach out. I'll be more than happy to take a good look at your coin if it's a buy. Here's the kick in the pants about technical analysis. It's not some sort of secret. We often say to people, if you can find 3 unrelated reasons to justify taking a trade, odds are you can probably find 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 because a good trade is a good trade is a good trade. And, whether you use price momentum or whether you use volatility analysis or whether you use volume analysis, levels, volume profile, whatever, a good trade is a good trade is a good trade. So, like I said, you got a half-decent fundamental story. Got a half-decent price action. At a good location. Got some indicators saying, hey, you know what? We got W's working here. Even a divergence. Those are even better. Show me a nice W. Show me a head and shoulders. Show me a fractal. Show me a triangle. Something to help me frame my risk when I take the actual trade itself. I'm more than happy. I'll listen. I like to make money from trading. So, in Bitcoin, ain't got nothing. Names like Little DCR, I'm interested. And that's kind of the mental state that I'm in right now. I will say a lot of names that we were interested, we've already banged out doubles, all that kind of stuff. They're starting to put in buy signals again. So we're getting the ramp up. It's starting again. Like this Stratus, great example, came back down into reload zones and gee whiz, down, and up she goes. So, the setups are coming in. I mean, I'm not going to add to these because these are old trades. I've already got positions working. But, here's another one, this Algo Rand. I think I even, publicly mentioned this the other day. This happens to be off a clothesline. Probably if we change this to a, what the hell's all this crap? What have I done? I broke the computer. There we go. Reload zones. Ironically enough, this is actually all it did was it just came right back down to original market structure and actually where I originally bought. And fascinating. This is such a great analogy. This actually wouldn't have been a bad opportunity. I've already sold half on a double. And then you just go and add another car to your car carrier, right? So now you got 2 positions on with that same original capital. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I see a lot of this in the crypto space. All they did was back shit up into the reload zones and get ready for the next round. So, all right, I think I'll leave the free offering at that. I don't know whether I really helped you or not. I sure hope I did. Actually, that shit perp, you can see the W's there. I mean, if you took it, there's your rally. Slow and steady wins the race. I keep saying this over and over and over again. It's basically the theme of 2020. This year is a mess. So go slowly. Remember what your number one job is. Don't go chasing the emotional fucking circle jerk latest craze. Because when the euphoria ends, you're going to be caught, quote unquote, bag holding. Try and hunt W's. Try and hunt good fundamental stories. Why is, what's value? Those kind of conversations. And on balance, you'll keep yourself out of trouble if you can figure out what value is and only buy then. Okay, we'll have another broiler chickens offerings, I suppose, on Sunday. But actually, I get the day off tomorrow, so phew. But if you are interested, we do still have this little promotion going here. We got 5 more days. When this is done, the school term will kick in earnest. And so that means basically next week I'm going to be right into school mode and probably doing a little bit less interaction with the public. So just FYI on that. So. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that for today. Have yourselves an awesome rest of your day. Good luck in following your plans. Remember what your number one job is as a trader. All the best, and bye for now.